modani, modani lefanecha, modani, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani, modani lefanecha, modani, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani, modani lefanecha, modani, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha, modani lefanecha. Take a deep breath. Thank you for keeping me safe throughout the night and allowing me to awaken to the wonders of this new day. So today is Rosh Hodesh Iyar, the month between Passover and Shavuot. And today's the first day, the beginning of the month, which is a name for, it's a month for all sorts of healing and new life. It just seems to be the perfect description. It's also a month of radiance and budding, spring, and turning bitterness into sweetness. And I say turning sickness into health, which is like bitterness into sweetness. And there's a story of where that came from. When Moses was in the desert during the Exodus, the people came to a body of water, and they were thirsty, but the water was bitter. And apparently Moses took a stick, which actually also was from a bitter tree. He threw it into the water, and the bitter tree made the bitter water sweet. So I'm thinking in terms of algebra, negative plus negative equals positive. And so that's where, and the word place is called Mara, and Mar means bitter. So we have that. That's just a little piece that I wanted to share with you because I liked it. This is also a month of midwifery of all new things. And so the next chant that refers to the miraculous self-healing power of the body, as well as the great self-healing power of our earth. And I feel so thrilled and happy that we, even though we're going through this terrible period of sickness, at least we're giving the earth a chance to recuperate a little bit. So the next chant is Rofechol Basar Umafli La'asot. talks about, oh, wondrous healer, healer of all flesh. Umafli la'asot, I think it has to do with he creates miracles. Mafli has to do with Pele, has to do with miracles. So in the right time, I read, miracles will be created. But Rofel Chol Basa has to do with healing in general. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, ומפליא לעשות. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. Take a deep breath. Breathe into your heart. Think about this whole healing. This is a magnificent healing chant. Breathe slowly into your heart. You can breathe in for 4, hold for 4, let go for 4. And as you breathe in, and you can breathe any way you like, as long as it's a mindful way of breathing in and out. So while you're breathing, I'd like to invite you to visualize the heart space expanding as you breathe in positive energy. And when you breathe out through your mouth, sending positive energy out into the world. In and out, positive energy. As you continue to breathe slowly in through your nose, out through your mouth, imagine all the bitterness in our lives dissipating and being replaced by joy, by kindness, by love, by understanding, by empathy. Imagine the virus, the sicknesses disappearing in the presence of the world's coming together in cooperation. Imagine the wounds of the earth being healed. And when you're ready, we can come back to normal breathing. Eyes closed, very, very helpful. Breathing in. Back and forth. Put your hands on your heart. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly through your mouth. And open your eyes. So the 49 days from Passover to Shavuot is the time of the counting of the Omer, as we know. An Omer is a measure of crops that farmers used to bring as a sacrifice to the temple. But nowadays, we're not doing farming and bringing of crops. And so the counting of the Omer was replaced by a period of self-evaluation and spiritual elevation. See what it says on the screen, counting the Omer is an opportunity to count each day and to make each day count in our spiritual journey, a time for reassessing our lives, a time for inner transformation and personal growth, where we're really, really counting. We're being very mathematical about this, and each day is very special. Rabbi Yael Levy of Philadelphia said, for 49 days, we're mindful of the passage of time. We're mindful of the day that has been, the day that has passed, and we open to the day that is. And we're taught in the tradition that this actually changes us, that it brings awareness and healing to our bodies, our minds, and our souls. End quote. So let's prepare ourselves to contemplate and bring into ourselves the Omer, bringing it into ourselves, the whole concept. And so we say, Hineni muchan umzuman, here I am, ready to count the Omer. And I'd like to add, here I am, ready and willing to open myself each day, looking at my specific traits and committing to becoming a better person as I continue to journey from slavery or tightness and narrowness inside, which I'm leaving further and further behind in Egypt, to the openness and the inner freedom as I move toward Mount Sinai and the future. So let's say the blessing for the counting of the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has sanctified us with your commandments and commanded us to count the Omer. So this was an interesting thing. We can get into a whole big discussion, but it says in Hebrew, Hayom Yom Shisha Asar, Yom Shehem Shnei Shavuot V'Shnei Yamim LaOmer. Today is the 16th day, which is 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. but we are in the third week. So another way of saying this is that we're in Shavua Shlishi, which means 3, Vishnei Yamim. We are in the second day of the third week. So both of them really come out the same. It depends on how we interpret it. It's a very, very interesting conversation I had a little bit with Rachel earlier. So on the tree of life, this is a tree of life, we see specific sfirot, and Rachel talked about sfirot in the past. They're sort of like chakras that make up the energies of the universe, as well as the emotional energies of ourselves. And each week we focus on a main sphira. And this week, the sphira is Tiferet. Rachel, do you have that pointer, or should we just Tiferet? And each day of the week of Tiferet has a different partner sphira. And so today the partner is Gevura. So what we have and what we call this week is Gevura Shebetiferet. Gevura Shebetiferet. Gevura of Tiferet. This can be translated as, among other things, discipline of compassion. So on the tree of life, we see that Tiferet is in the middle. And that to me is it's a very powerful, it's important. So there are many ways of talking about Tiferet, but it's a feeling of beauty. Or to quote Rabbi Rachel from last week, Tiferet is a deep experience of joy. It's a feeling of wow. It's a feeling of And so, for example, if you if you imagine a newborn baby, the feeling that you have when you see a beautiful pink or orange flower. We could go to the next one, right? A pink or orange flower on a desert cactus. That flower only lasts one day, by the way, and then others pop up. Imagine that feeling of Tiferet, when you're seeing a beautiful sunset. Or perhaps the taste of Swiss chocolate melting on in your mouth. Or the feeling of a perfect connection with a friend or a loved one. And so on. So with joy in mind, let's chant Ki v'simcha. It's a great chant. Ki v'simcha tetzeu v'shalom tuvalun. And the English is also part of it. So let me take a drink. Ki v'simcha tetzeu v'shalom tuvalu. Ki v'simcha tetzeu v'shalom tuvalu. For in joy will you go out, in peace be led across the land. Mountains and hills will burst into song, and the trees of the field will clap their hands. Clap. V'simcha tetzeu v'shalom tuvalu. Ki v'simcha tetzeu v'shalom tuvalu. For in joy will you go out, in peace be led across the land. Mountains and hills will burst into song, and the trees of the field will clap their hands. Ki v'simcha tetzeu v'shalom tuvalu. Ki v'simcha tetzeu v'shalom tuvalu. For in joy will you go out, in peace be led across the land. Mountains and hills will and the trees of the field will clap their hands. Breathe into that tiferet. Feel that openness, a feeling of joy. If you haven't already, close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that. And I always find like moving back and forth really helps to just get into that space. So we feel the joy in different situations. And perhaps while you're breathing, you see those mountains and the hills and the new growth of spring and the new possibilities of today and tomorrow. So how is it that perfect joy, that tiferet, is created? How did we create tiferet? So this is what's interesting about the Omer and about the tree. It is a fusing of two other sfirot. Chesed, which is the unbridled expansiveness of giving. Just giving, giving, giving. Sometimes if you do too much chesed, you sort of lose yourself. It's also called loving kindness. And so you have chesed, and you fuse it with gevura, which remember, this week is gevura shel tiferet. So chesed is gevura is the opposite of chesed. It's the restraint, it's control, it's a judgment about how far you can go or how far your actions are going, and maybe you need to pull back a little bit. So I was thinking, one might ask, why does pure joy need a limitation? So we chesed and gevura, which makes tiferet. Why? So the thinking is, and the experience is, that anything brought to the extreme and tends to end badly. Anything to the extreme. So, for example, one time years ago, I was at a Shabbat service at a retreat, and I found out later that Rachel was actually there too, but we didn't know each other at the time. And we have a Shabbat service, and there's drumming, and there's dancing, and there's singing, chanting, and people are in pure joy. But as the drumming got louder and as the dancing got wilder, so to speak, more ecstatic, it got to a point where it was very obvious that people lost the gevura part of their behavior, their need for self-limitation. And it felt like the people in the desert who were dancing around the golden calf. You know how it was crazed, if you remember the movie, Exodus, they were just beyond the beyond. And so what was tiferet, the beauty of joy, just became terribly skewed. So what I'd like to talk about is the need for balance. From what I was just saying, we need to always think of balance. And the chant that talks about balance very nicely is Ozi v'zimrat ya. So Ozi v'zimrat ya, Ozi, my inner strength, of my gevura, balanced with zimrat ya, the melody of God, or the compassionate, loving part of me, chesed. Vayehi li lishua, will be my salvation, or the compassionate, loving part of me, will create the greater shining, joyful container of tiferet. So I'd like you to imagine these three sfirot, Chesed, Gevura, coming together for Tiferet, and that's the balance. So let's do Ozi v'Zimrat Yah. Ozi. Boy, that's not the one I want to do. Ozi v'Zimrat Yah vayili lishua. 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 La 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 Lishua. Close your eyes. Bring your breath into your heart. Breathe in and out. Hear the melody in your minds. Visualize balance. Keeping in mind always the need for gevura, balance, centeredness, the ability to observe and make mid-course corrections within our various emotions. Just imagine, and I'm quoting this from somewhere, Tiferet receiving the influence of Chesed and Gevura and emanating a light that transcends them both. So I don't know how we're doing with time, but if we can go back to Ki V'Simcha, we could end it with that. Is that okay? So we end on an upbeat. We're going to be balanced, and that's the way we're going to go through our days and our weeks. And every time we feel out of sorts, out of balance, like, oh, this is not going to be a good day, we think of bringing it back together. And we're going to end with a joyful chant. So, Ki v'simcha tetzeu u'v'shalom tuvalu. Ki v'simcha tetzeu u'v'shalom clap their hands. Ki v'simcha tetzeu, u'v'shalom u'valun. For in joy, ki v'simcha tetzeu, u'v'shalom u'valun. For in joy will you go out, in peace be led across the land. Mountains and hills will burst into song, and the trees